Ever heard of an empire whose greatest legacy isn't some huge palace or a famous battle, but a single 6-ton pillar of iron? Yeah, a pillar that's been standing for over a millennium and a half, and here's the crazy part, it hasn't rusted. So what's going on here? Let's dive in.
Okay, so here it is, standing tall in Delhi. Now, you know what happens if you leave a piece of modern iron out in the rain, right? It's going to rust. But not this thing. Forged way back during the Gupta dynasty, it's just defied the centuries. And scientists have finally figured out why. Turns out, there's this unique, super thin protective film on its surface. It's made of something called misawite. It's basically a special mix of iron, oxygen, and hydrogen that formed over time. I mean, what an incredible testament to the skills of the people who made it.
But you see, this pillar is so much more than just a cool science fact. It's like a silent witness to this absolutely amazing time in Indian history. So the real question is, what secrets does it hold? What can it tell us about the innovation, the power, and the knowledge of the Gupta Empire? Well, let's find out.
All right, we're going to journey back in time, back to ancient India. It's a moment when one empire is fading away and another one is just about to forge its own incredible legend.
So, picture this. It's the 3rd century CE. The Kushana Empire, which was this huge power in the northern part of the subcontinent, well, it's starting to crumble. And that creates a classic power vacuum. And who steps into that void? A new dynasty, the Guptas. And boy, did they make a mark. They went on to build one of the most powerful and prosperous empires the region had ever seen.
So, the main period we're talking about here, the real heart of the Gupta era, lasted for about 250 years. From around 300 to 550 CE. This timeline here just gives you a quick snapshot of the key players who really shaped this age. From the guys who started it all to the brilliant thinkers who thrived under their rule, like the astronomer Aryabhata.
Okay, check this out. The foundations of the empire were really laid by guys like Chandragupta I. Look at his coin, you see him with his queen. And that's a perfect image for him because he was all about building power through smart strategic alliances. But then you have his son, Samudragupta, and his coin tells a totally different story. This guy was a conqueror.
And this is where Samudragupta gets really interesting. He has this fascinating duality. On one hand, you've got this inscription, the Prayaga Prashasti, that basically hypes him up as this incredible warrior who united huge parts of the subcontinent. But then you look at his coins, and what's he doing? He's playing the veena, a stringed instrument. So this wasn't just some brute warrior king. He was a patron of the arts, a really complex guy for a really sophisticated empire.
And that sophistication, that's really the key here. See, the stability and wealth of the Gupta Empire didn't just fuel military wins, it created the perfect environment for science, art, and philosophy to just explode. And that's why so many historians call this a classical age. And right at the heart of this incredible explosion of knowledge was a true giant of the era, a mathematician and astronomer named Aryabhata. We're talking around the year 500 CE, and the work he was doing was literally centuries ahead of its time.
I mean, just think about how revolutionary these ideas were for a second. At a time when pretty much everyone thought the sun revolved around the Earth, Aryabhata comes along and proposes that the Earth actually spins on its own axis. That's a concept Europe wouldn't really get on board with for another 1,000 years. He threw out superstition and explained eclipses using pure science, shadows, plain and simple. And get this, his calculation for the length of a solar year, he nailed it down to 365 days, 6 hours, 12 minutes, and 30 seconds. That is incredibly close to what we know today. Just amazing.
And Aryabhata wasn't some lone genius working in a vacuum. No way. This era was packed with brilliant minds. You had Varahamihira, who wrote this massive encyclopedia covering everything from astronomy to architecture. You had the legendary poet Kalidasa. People often call him the Shakespeare of India. And in medicine, this was when the ancient system of Ayurveda was really organized and written down, creating this incredible library of knowledge on everything from what to eat to how to perform complex surgeries.
So with all this going on, you have to wonder, what was it actually like to live back then? Well, lucky for us, we have an eyewitness account from a very special visitor that gives us a pretty cool glimpse into daily life.
Okay, so in the 5th century, a Chinese Buddhist monk named Faxian made this long journey through Gupta India. And in his travel journal, he paints this incredible picture of a peaceful, well-run society. He writes about people being happy and wealthy, kind to each other, and cities being clean and orderly. Honestly, it sounds almost like a utopia, right?
But, history is never quite that simple. Faxian's account is super valuable, don't get me wrong, but we have to remember it's just one guy's perspective, and he was a visitor. Other historical sources show us a more complicated picture. They describe, for example, the really harsh treatment of people who were considered outcasts in the social system. So yeah, it seems the Golden Age was golden for some, but definitely not for everyone.
So, when you put it all together, the military might, the scientific genius, and the complicated social reality, what's the final takeaway? What is the lasting legacy of the Gupta Empire? I mean, why are we still talking about it today?
Well, their legacy is really built on these incredible pillars. In science and math, they didn't just make a few discoveries, they laid the foundation for concepts we are still using. In medicine, their work on Ayurveda continues to influence health and wellness all over the world. Their art, their architecture, their poetry, it's inspired people for centuries. And really, none of this could have happened without a stable government that created the space for all this progress.
And this brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? The Iron Pillar. It's not just some cool piece of metal. It's the perfect symbol for the entire Gupta era. It's strong, it's sophisticated, and it's scientifically way ahead of its time. It really is the perfect embodiment of the innovation and strength of the empire that built it, an empire that literally forged its golden age in iron.
Now, like all empires, the Gupta dynasty did eventually fall. But their ideas, their contributions to science, art, and philosophy, they were so powerful that they've endured, just like that rustless iron pillar. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about, right? In our world today, where we're always chasing the next new thing, what can we learn from a golden age that valued deep knowledge and created things that were truly built to last?